What's up, Chrome Corner UFC 286? Me and your boy Charlie T. We're here to give the fight picks to y'all. Charlie T. Memphis lost in March Madness in a heartbreaker last night. What's up, man? Good morning.
Referees can't do their job right. You're calling a timeout. 5 seconds to go, we have possession. Instead of giving us a timeout, they give FAU the ball. So I'll be honest, I had nothing against the fans or anybody else, but just because of that game, FAU. I'm ready for the Farley Dickinson to whoop their.
Hey, that's what happens, man. If you're a true fan, you always want the team that beats yours. You want revenge to get put on them. So I feel you, man. I'm always someone who roots for Memphis second to Arkansas because I went to Arkansas, but I root hard for Memphis if they're not going against Arkansas. So I was watching myself, and it was a tough one. Hopefully Arkansas can get it done tonight. But UFC 286 is also tonight. Well, this afternoon. It's not necessarily night like usual. A little early fight times. But the first fight on the card, we've got Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Vettori's number 4, Dolidze number 9. Dolidze's a guy that's kind of just now coming into these higher rankings, and Vettori obviously has been around, fought a lot of the best guys up there. You're the guest, man. Who do you got and why?
So this was actually a little bit tougher than I thought because obviously Vittori's in that top tier of middleweight fighters. I wouldn't put him on the same level as Adesanya, Pereira, or even Whitaker, but he's in that 3 to 5 range. So, but man, Dolidze, he's had 3 straight knockouts.
Yeah.
He knocked out Jack Hermanson, he took out Phil Hawes and Kyle Dawkins. And he's looked pretty impressive. I know his only loss in the octagon was to Trevin Giles, who's no slouch. This was tougher than I thought, but I took Vettori by decision. I think he gets it done over 3 rounds. He's good. Dolidze's good on the ground, but I think Vettori's just a little more seasoned in the octagon, so I'm taking him.
Vettori by decision. Let's see, Vettori, Dolidze, yeah, I kind of saw this similarly. Dolidze's on a roll, and we've seen, some up-and-coming young fighters start taking over a little bit when they're on rolls like that, but Vettori has faced all of the top, he's faced everybody, and he's the only person that I would say dominated him was Izzy. Everybody else he either beat or it was a tough fight, and he's just not Whitaker or Izzy. I even think personally that he would be a bad matchup for Pereira because Pereira doesn't have the ground game that Vettori has. He's a pretty strong wrestler, even though he couldn't do a lot with Izzy. But Izzy's a little bit more evasive than Pereira, in my opinion.
Well, Vettori took Izzy down numerous times when they fought. I don't know why it didn't seem to matter. Everyone had that fight as like a 50-44, but it looked, if you actually watched it, it looked a lot closer than how it was scored.
Yeah. Yeah, Vettori obviously he thought he won right after, but a lot of people did have it scored for Izzy. But I've got Vettori winning as well. He is kind of a habitual decision winner, so I think that he will probably win by decision. I'd like to see him get a win by TKO or sub, because he kind of he probably needs a little bit of a spark, especially with the fans, if he wants to jump in notoriety. But yeah, so it'll be a fun fight, but I got Vettori as well by decision. So the next fight, we've got some females fighting. We've got Jennifer Maia, ranked number 8, Casey O'Neill, ranked number 12. Maia, she's been around for a bit. She's got a spotty record. Casey O'Neill's a little bit newer, up and coming. She hasn't lost in the UFC, if I remember correctly. And I'm going to go with the young buck, man. I've got Casey O'Neill winning. She's not ranked as high, but I think after this fight she will be. She'll take her spot. Maia's record's too spotty for me. She's not consistent enough. She's fought a lot of good fighters, but it's because that division gets rotated a lot. As you know, there's not that much, not many new entries to the high levels of it. TKO second round. What you got?
I mean, I'm picking Casey O'Neill too because I actually really like her. I watched her fight Shevchenko. I didn't see her last fight, the split decision, but Dobson I saw as well. She's got some really good striking, and she's not bad on the ground either. And like you said, Maya has a spotty record. Yes, she's competed with the top people in the division, but at the same time, she hasn't beaten any of the top people in the division. And the UFC is really clever. I mean, Dana White speaks to his ability to put on good cards. He puts up-and-comers against seasoned, I guess, vets who have fought the best in the division to kind of give credibility to that up-and-comer. And I think that's one of these fights. But I'm taking Casey O'Neill, but I'm going third-round knockout.
Third round knockout. Okay. All right. Next fight, we've got two guys with some spotty records. We've got Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena. Neither one of these guys are ranked. Gunnar Nelson's coming in at a very heavy favorite, despite not being that active lately. He fought in 2022, but before that, I think he didn't fight in 2021, 2020. I think he was out for those 2 years, if I remember correctly. It's back to you. You're the guest. Who you got?
Well, the reason why it's heavy favorite is, did you see Barberena's last fight?
Yeah, Dos Anjos.
Dos Anjos put him away, man. It shouldn't have been that easy for him. He dominated him.
Dos Anjos is a.
If you look before that, he knocked out Robbie Lawler, which is not maybe 15 years ago, that had been a big accomplishment. But Robbie Lawler's been around forever, so take that for what you will. And yeah, Gunnar Nelson hasn't been active for a while, but he's still a far superior fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at his last three fights, he has 2 losses on there, but the 2 losses are to Gilbert Burns and Leon Edwards.
And it was a split with Leon.
So what?
It was a split decision with Leon, right?
Mm-hmm. The thing is, this guy fights and he competes at a high level with the best guys in the division. So it could have been 2.5 years since the last time he fought in the cage. I mean, he's been inactive for only a year. Not even a full year.
Yeah.
Calendar-wise. Tomorrow it'll be a full year.
Okay.
So he's literally fighting 364 days since his last fight, which isn't a huge inactive streak. Not compared to, John Jones just got back in after 3 years and won.
Yeah, it's also
I'm taking him. Yeah, I'm taking him by unanimous decision.
Okay. Go Gunnar Nelson as well. Barberena's, he's a tough dude. He's one of those guys that's he weathers the storm a lot of times, and he'll surprise you. He's definitely one of those guys that'll surprise you in moments in fights. He always has me, at least, but I'm definitely going Nelson. And I'm going to go sub. I'm going to go sub in the third.
Oh.
Sub in the third for Nelson. So, with that being said, we move on to the co-main event of the night, or the early afternoon today. We've got Justin Gaethje, ranked number 3. We all know Gaethje. And we've got Rafael Fiziev, sorry, I said that incorrectly, ranked number 6. And it's my pick. This was a tough one to pick. We were talking about this a little bit before we started rolling. He's a tough customer, dude. He knocks people out with multiple different things, too, with punches and kicks. So his kickboxing is pretty on point. Gaethje, we all know, is more of a boxer style, but he's got a lot of, or maybe Muay Thai, because he's got a lot of low leg kicks he throws that are tough. man, this one was really tough to pick, and I would not be surprised either way if either guy wins, or even if either guy dominates. It'd be a little bit more surprising if Fiziev dominates because Gaethje's such a vet, but man, I'm gonna go Fiziev. I don't know how it gets done because it's so hard to get Gaethje out of there. I mean, he gets rocked by some of the hardest shots and still sticks around. For example, the Chandler fight. Chandler kind of does that too sometimes, but I'm going to go Fiziev, and I'm going to say it's a war and he wins decision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I had my mentality is completely different. I do not see this fight lasting past the second round.
Doesn't surprise me.
No. And the thing is, if you've ever watched a Justin Gaethje fight, they are the most entertaining, especially the first round, is some of the most entertaining shit you'll ever watch.
Yeah, especially the beginning of his career when he was even more reckless.
I don't care if he gets knocked out in every fight he fights in. I want him on any card because he is primetime TV. Plus, he's such a skilled striker. What's disappointing though is he was a college wrestler, a decorated college wrestler, but he never uses it.
Dude, he must hate wrestling from all those years or something because he literally never uses it
ever.
And we didn't see him start using it against Khabib either because it didn't work.
He doesn't use it. And the thing about Gaethje is if you watched his fight with Eddie Alvarez and you watched him with Dustin, he is susceptible to getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And Fiziev is a freaking dog when it comes to his striking. And the thing that worries me about Gaethje is he doesn't have that tank. He tires out. If you watch the Chandler fight, you could see it on him. He was breathing really heavy at the end of the second, into the third round. The only fight I saw him just completely look amazing from start to finish, 5 rounds, was that Tony Ferguson fight.
Yeah, that was by far his best performance.
And Fiziev has the reach advantage by, I think, around 2 inches. You know what direction I'm going. I mean, Fiziev doesn't have the record that Gaethje has in terms of competition. I mean, his last win was against Dos Anjos. Like he fought Bobby Green. He knocked him out as well, or he didn't knock Bobby Green out of the decision, but he knocked out Dos Anjos. Purely based on how I think the fight's going to go, I'm taking Fiziev by second round knockout. But that is a risk. I understand that's a risk.
Yeah, any route you take to saying who's going to win this and how is a risk because these two are going to be in there trying to take each other's heads off, but they're both really tough, so I could see them just beating the hell out of each other for 3 rounds at the same time. So we're picking the same up until this point, which doesn't happen very often. With this, there's usually one fight we pick different, I would say, in most cases. But we've only got one left. We've got the main event, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. As we all know, I would assume most of the viewers know, Kamaru Usman had a long streak as champion, and then he fought Leon Edwards, who he had already beaten once previously in their careers, but it was earlier in their careers. And then once he fought him as champion, he beat him pretty handedly for 4 rounds. And then in the 5th round, kind of let his guard down for just a second, and that's all it takes in MMA, and got head kicked into another universe and knocked out, flatlined. It was, it made history. There's a famous quote from Leon Edwards now, "I'm king, headshot, dead." So Leon Edwards is the champ, but a lot of people have doubts as far as, is he better than Kamaru Usman, or did he just get lucky? We will find out tonight, but first we got to hear Charlie's pick.
I mean, Usman and Edwards have been total time in the octagon together, 39 minutes and 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm. I already know where you're going.
Kamaru Usman has dominated him in 39 minutes. Leon Edwards had a leg kick in 4 seconds. He has been superior to Usman. That second fight was not a fight for the first 4 rounds. Usman was dominating Leon. Mm-hmm. That was the epitome of luck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to take anything away from his accomplishment. Great job for him. But the proof is, if you watch them fight, like Usman is just completely dominant over him. The only person who can put up a competitive fight to Usman in the welterweight division over 5 rounds, I can say confidently, is Colby.
Right.
Colby's the only one who's arguably beat Usman.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards is not in that same stratosphere. He got that leg kick, and that's it. But that is the most misleading win of anyone's career ever, because he was getting dominated.
Yeah, I'm sure he feels that too. I mean, he could have gained some confidence because he actually did pull it off, but at the same time, he has to know in the back of his mind, every other moment I've been in there outside of that kick, he was dominating me, you know? So, like, we'll see how he deals with that adversity. And anybody, you never know, like, that knockout could get in Usman's head and make him doubt himself a little bit. We've seen that before, too, with people. But, so you've got Usman by what?
I've got Usman I'm taking him by decision, just because I think this fight goes very similar to the last fight, except I don't think there's any, last-minute heroics.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get, I wouldn't doubt it at all, if we get into a same situation where Usman's dominated the whole fight, we're in the 5th round, and then Usman's sitting there like, okay, don't drop your guard this time, maybe move a little bit more, and then Leon's thinking, headshot dead, like I have to go in here and kill him, and then the announcers are going to be talking about it. That would be a thing to see. And we've seen that. I mean, it kind of happened with Izzy and Pereira, didn't it? Like, Izzy was winning the whole fight, and then he knew, he's coming for my head this round, and he couldn't avoid it. But that's also Pereira, who I would argue is a little more deadly most of the time than Edwards. So, with that being said, I've got Usman as well, so we did pick all of the fights the same this time. It's a rarity for us. So if we get a clean sweep, it'll be 2 clean sweeps in 1 week. But I've got Usman. I'm going to go decision. Most of his fights are decisions. Edwards, although he won that last time, he also didn't look that beat up. I don't think Usman's going to get him out of there either, because he's also going to be weary of that big shot, which is going to make him, play it a little bit safer. Maybe if he rocks him, he goes in hard, but, we'll see. So I've got Usman as well.
Man, I mean, this is like I haven't been excited about this rematch at all, just because it reminds me of the Amanda Nunes rematch.
Oh, with I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Oh man, she fought. Yeah, she fought.
Yeah, man.
Hey, do you remember it?
I'm waiting on you.
You're looking it up. Don't lie.
Yeah, I am.
I can see it in your glasses, bro. Juliana Pena.
Yeah, that's how fast you forget someone's name when they get dominated in the rematch. The Juliana Pena rematch. I mean, even though she pushed Nunes in that second round and actually looked really good in terms of striking and what she did on the ground, you knew what was going to happen in the rematch. You knew that Amanda was going to come back and just completely dominate her, which she did. Usman's going to do the same thing. I'm not saying he's going to be dominant for another 2-3 years, but he's definitely going to win this fight.
Yeah, I've felt the same. I think I've kind of just been waiting for this fight to be over with, so that we can see if like a Hamzat or a Colby or who's next to fight, like
Bilal.
who is it? Bilal and Gilbert Burns. Like those guys are all still hanging out up there.
Hey, Gilbo had his shot, man. He ate the canvas.
Yeah, he won't get the shot unless someone else becomes champ. Is my
I'll tell you
thought.
what, though, it's a complete disservice to the welterweight division. Has actually been really good over the past half decade, and the fact that they let Jorge Masvidal fight twice for the title.
Dude, you know what's wild is, I know this is a very short moment in time because it wasn't that long of a fight. It was the second round when he got knocked out, right, by Usman. But he won that first round.
He did, but it's like...
If Usman doesn't wrestle with him, it's a decent fight. But he always has that in his back pocket. You know what I mean?
I think Usman, the reason he fought that way is because when they fought on Fight Island, he fought his way for 5 rounds, and it was just a awfully technically boring fight.
Snooze fest.
He stomped his toes for 5 rounds, held him against the cage. Just he dominated Masvidal, but he wanted to prove he could knock him out, and he did.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him, man. That's it wasn't just a TKO either. It was out cold. So forever in history.
Jorge's the king of knocking people out when they're walking out of restaurants.
Yeah, that I didn't like that, man. As much as I respect Masvidal for his upbringing in fighting, like his street fights and all of that back in the day in the Kimbo Slice days. Shout out to the OGs who remember that. I was actually watching those videos back in the day, like back when they were popular on YouTube, when a lot of people didn't know yet. But you can't, that's not gangster to like run up and sneak somebody like that. So I don't know why he thought that was cool.
It sucks too, because I like Masvidal. It was a bitch move.
Yeah, that wasn't good for his brand or his career at all.
Yeah, he lost me as a fan for sure. Because I liked him and Colby, but after that, I don't like Masvidal. That was not a good, because you could seriously hurt somebody to the point of, because you're not in a cage, things aren't regulated, there's no fighting commission or anything. You're hitting somebody with their face turned another way. You could, who knows what could have happened.
Right. If you run up, I'm completely okay, honestly, as a grown man, with running up on someone and then telling them, hey, square up, we're going right now, because, we said when we saw each other we're fighting, but to run up when they're not looking is just not cool. And
in fact, when you just had a chance to square up with somebody for 25 minutes and got your ass kicked, you just got to eat that as a man. You got to accept it. You got
to take your licks and you got to move on and try to be better from it, grow, you know what I mean, become a better fighter. I'm sure it hurt his pride a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it would hurt all of our prides in that situation with the enemy to get beat like that, but you got to take it on the chin, like you said.
Bro, what's crazy is if you go on YouTube, you can find these old, like, vlog videos of Masvidal back, it was over, I think 10 years ago. Him training and living in Miami with Colby as his roommate, and they're like best buddies. And I swear to God,
I know, it's crazy.
I've got to find it, but there's one episode where they go to Vegas for one of Jorge's fights, and Colby's with him, and they're like going to like the buffet and like hanging out in Vegas and stuff. I swear to God, they're like best friends.
Dude, I feel, hey, white boy and Latin dude, like, I feel like they probably, went out there and pulled a bunch of chicks and did well, and they're fighters. The thing is,
the Colby in those videos is night and day compared to the guy you see today.
Colby is?
In those older vlog videos with Jorge, he's nice, respectful, he's kind of quiet and shy. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
I think that's who he is really anyways.
He's humble, man. He's very humble.
I think that's just who he really is. I think he just knew his career was not going to go somewhere unless he didn't make up a character, you
He's
know.
a showman.
And that's what Joe Rogan says. Joe Rogan says he's that really not that. Or is it Rogan or is it Brendan Schaub? One of them says that Colby's super nice outside of the interviews.